right, guys, welcome back to another video. We have lots to go over today, from many game rumors and updates on Perfect Dark and lots of other things, including PlayStation potentially opening a new studio. And are we going to be getting a Zelda game for the Nintendo Switch 2 at its launch? We'll go over all of that. But before we do get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new to this channel and you like daily gaming news. And also check out my Spotify, link is in the description. So yesterday, I was talking about the Xbox narratives and just kind of what's happening basically on a daily basis at this point. We are getting new information that's kind of contradicting. I mean, the big thing here has been Perfect Dark and Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb came out and said that he thought the game was in rough shape, or he had been told that. And he also did say that the game could very well come out and be completely fine. And people were wondering, is this true? And then a couple of days later, we got another report that the game was in good shape, and it's just a continuously shifting narrative. And now Jeff Grubb has kind of updated his thoughts on where Perfect Dark is. This comes here from Hazard Gaming, saying new info and speculation by Jeff Grubb says Perfect Dark looks in good shape after speaking to more sources, and that he believes it will be shown off at the Xbox showcase this year. So basically it does sound like maybe his sources were outdated. It was older information, and now the people that have been discussing Perfect Dark behind the scenes are giving new updates that the game is looking good and they're excited about it, and that we will be seeing this at the Xbox showcase. Perfect Dark is going to be a huge one. People have been waiting a while since they announced this game and told us about the initiative and the new studio and everything. So when they do show it off, I'm thinking we're going to get a nice gameplay look at it. Maybe it is kind of a reboot of what they initially showed off with just the teaser trailer of Perfect Dark. But I'm really excited to see where they go with it and just how they are going to change it from the previous games. It's a big franchise, one of those franchises that Xbox needs to really knock out of the park as they are rebooting the entire thing. Now, the next game here is Dragon Age Dreadwolf, saying it could be coming out in 2024, and that people are just happy with the game. This is another game here, similar to Perfect Dark. It is kind of bringing back a franchise that had fallen off. And I mean, the last Dragon Age Inquisition had some split amongst the people who played it. Some liked it, some didn't. And then there's also the whole BioWare thing. Do people really trust BioWare anymore to make good RPGs, especially after some of their past recent releases? And you have Mass Effect Andromeda. And I just hope Dragon Age Dreadwolf does come out good. We did see a leak a while ago where it looked more like a third-person action game, and people were kind of comparing it to God of War. I don't know what people are going to think about that, if that's actually what it ends up being. But I'm looking forward to Dragon Age Dreadwolf. I'm somebody who actually played a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition. I enjoyed it, so I'll definitely give Dreadwolf a chance and at least check out the trailer and to see if it's something that will be up my alley. And then the other thing here he talks about is the PS5 Pro might be announced during PlayStation Showcase. I mean, that one I think is pretty obvious. At this point, they need to announce the PlayStation 5 Pro. We've seen so many rumors about it, and we continuously are getting rumors about it. But the rumors are literally saying, yes, this is happening. We're just sitting here waiting for PlayStation to do that announcement. Now, the PS5 Pro, in my opinion, doesn't really sound that exciting. They're basically just making it to improve ray tracing. It's not going to be like that 4K 60 FPS machine that everybody is hoping it will be, unless that PSSR, which is their upscaling technology, really does a phenomenal job to get steady frame rates at 4K for these upcoming games. Because right now, that is always the biggest thing when it comes to game releases. People are always looking for the performance mode and to see how stable that performance mode is. And if it doesn't have a performance mode, it's only in a 30 FPS or something, there's always outrage about that before the game releases. And it does hurt the release of these games somewhat. I mean, I guess it also depends on the game itself, because Starfield still did extremely well, although it only released at 30 FPS on the Xbox consoles. Luckily, that 60 FPS patch is coming soon. So that is going to be the thing here for the PS5 Pro for me, is like, how will it perform in performance modes, and will it give us steadier frame rates for the big AAA games that are coming out that are becoming more taxing on these systems? I still don't think we've seen the full potential of the Series X in particular, and hopefully now, if the PS5 Pro releases, it will then increase the overall baseline for where these games are going to be running, because the PS5 was weaker than the Xbox Series X, and you would think more PlayStation 5s are sold. There's a big market there that when developers are creating their games for both the Series X and the PS5, they're using the PS5 as the baseline, so they're not using all the potential of the Series X, they're not using all of the tools that are available, and maybe now with a PS5 Pro that is going to be more powerful than the Series X, we will just get better stability with these games 4 years after the release of these consoles. So I do hope we get the announcement. I do hope PlayStation has a showcase, because I'm very interested in what their roadmap is. We have no idea about the PlayStation roadmap. There's all this doom and gloom around Xbox all the time, and rightfully so, because they closed those studios. But the reality is at least Xbox has a showcase, and at least Xbox has a roadmap for their games that are coming out this year and next year. Now, I want to see PlayStation's, because I'm sure they have lots in their pipeline of games to come out. And then when it comes to a game that I really hope would come true, it looks like it isn't, but I would love for it to come true, would be Sly Cooper. I love the Sly Cooper games back on the PlayStation 2, and I was really hoping that they would make a brand new one, and Sucker Punch would come out there and give us that. And Jeff Grubb had reported that maybe they were working on a new Sly Cooper game, which is why it's taking longer to get to Ghost of Tsushima 2. But it looks like that isn't the case. I guess it really depends on who you want to believe here. But Jason Schreier responds and says, "There's no truth to this one. Sorry to say, Sucker Punch is a one-project studio. The reason Ghost of Tsushima 2 isn't out yet is because AAA games now take 5 to 7 years to make. Also, Sucker Punch is smaller than most other AAA game developers." So there you have it. If you're expecting a Sly Cooper, if you're reading rumors in recent days that's what Sucker Punch is potentially working on, looks like, based off of what Jason Schreier is saying here, that isn't the case. And then we'll see everything else that comes out. We got the EA showcases, the Ubisofts, and then Nintendo. Lots of things are going to be talked about, and we're going to have a lot to go over the next couple of months as we get into the Summer Games Fest stuff. So those are some news and rumors from Jeff Grubb. And take it with a grain of salt. If you want to believe him, believe him. If you don't. But that is where we are right now. One of the games that I think potentially could be coming here at the Xbox Showcase is a new Doom. What is id working on? People have been wondering whether it is Quake or is it Doom. We've seen the leak about the Doom Year Zero. I'm guessing that's what they are working on right now, and then the next announcement from that studio will be a new Doom game. And Tom Warren puts out here, Microsoft will be banking on some new game announcements, lifting the Doom around Xbox and the doom and gloom and everything that has occurred over the last week because of the studio closures. The doom and gloom for the studio closures makes sense, but people thinking that Xbox and Game Pass and everything is just going away is actually kind of insane. They're just going to be continuously growing it and expanding out. They didn't go out and buy all these studios to shut things down. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. There's still lots of games that we will be looking at playing after the Xbox June showcase. And potentially Blizzard is going to be giving us something to look forward to. There is a job listing here for a new Blizzard project, and it says called as great game with storytelling and legendary boss encounters. Monsters will be interesting, memorable, and challenging from the initial threats all the way to legendary boss encounters players will talk about for decades. So it looks like Blizzard is looking here to build out something new. And this is the job description. They are actually looking for a creative director. So obviously this game is very, very early on, not something that's probably even coming out this generation, or at least coming out in the next couple of years, but they are working on something unannounced new that we do not know about. And this is interesting to me because from what we heard, they canceled Odyssey, and you would think they were canceling Odyssey to save money and to continue to focus on the stuff that they are currently working on and the games that they know are going to sell very well, and that they weren't going to expand out and make anything new. But obviously with this job posting here, that is not the case. They canceled Odyssey. Now they're looking to create something new. Maybe Odyssey just wasn't good. Maybe that's the reason behind it. Maybe they were looking at the development of it and seeing what was there, and they were thinking, let's cut it now before we sink any more costs into it, and let's start something new with some new ideas. And we'll see eventually what this new game from Blizzard ends up being. Now, when it comes to Forza Motorsport, we are getting some new stuff in the next few months. This here is from Clobril saying Forza Motorsport in the next few months, there will be more tracks. There will be a spectate mode. There will be multi-class races. There will be endurance races. There will be car proximity radar, Forza GT division changes, Logitech True Force supports, AI improvements, Force race regulations improvements, and improvements to multiplayer, including matchmaking, safety rating, and more. So if you're still out there playing Forza Motorsport, if you're looking forward to what is coming down the line, the next few months should have a relatively big amount of updates here for you to play. And we'll see if this is a game here that continues to go and it will increase the player count, all of those things for the Forza Motorsport series. Now, when it comes to studios, it looks like Sony may have formed a new studio. There's some information that is coming out here. It hasn't officially been announced, but as we know, PlayStation previously was partnering with Deviation Games, and then Deviation closed down. And now it looks like former Deviation developers have come together to form a new Sony-backed studio. This is what it says. It has been claimed on social media that Sony has established a brand new studio within the confines of PlayStation, stocked to the rafters with former Deviation Games employees. It was further reported that Jason Blundell, one of the co-founders of Deviation, is involved with the project at a senior level. They say the latest info was recently revealed following rumors that first popped up in December of 2023. In March, Deviation Games was shut down. That was one of those studios that they were potentially working on a multiplayer game, something that Sony would have needed in their portfolio, but then obviously went down. They say it was backed by a flock of former Call of Duty veterans. Deviation Game was reportedly working on a AAA shooter when it was shuttered amid ongoing industry-wide struggles. The shutdown came following mass layoff wave that wiped out as many as 90 employees. And then now we have this. In a post from Deviation Games employee Michael Anthony, which surfaced on LinkedIn, the news is all but confirmed. And this is what it says. I hear that a lot of previous Deviation Games employees have set up their own studio at Sony working on an undisclosed new IP. All the people I see working there that have signed up are top class developers and hope that you can create a top class new IP with your studio that hopefully gives you all the time you need to create a quality product and not have to deal with red tape from previous projects. So nothing official here from PlayStation and from Sony yet about this studio and what it's going to be called, or if it's just going to be called an internal Sony studio and the type of game that they are working on. But I would bet that when Deviation closed, Sony reached out to some of the developers there and said, hey, just come to us. We'll pay you. And we want to create a first-party, first-person shooter game, games as a service to add to our portfolio, because obviously that is what they truly do need here, especially after their financial results. You had Hiroki Totoki talking about this, needing to expand out to PC and get games where they're getting continuous revenue. So maybe they're working on a brand new first-person shooter, and that would be great to see. I would love to see how that works out and what game this is. And when they do eventually announce it, will this be a day-and-date PC game? My bet would be yes. This will be something that PlayStation continues to want to do, especially after the Helldivers 2 success. Now, the issue with PlayStation when it comes to PC is they've pissed off the PC crowd, and they're continuing to do it. I mean, with the whole Helldivers 2 PSN account linking and taking games out of countries where they could previously play them if they didn't have a PSN account, now they can't. You have the whole Ghost of Tsushima thing where Steam is giving refunds to PC players who pre-ordered the game in countries that does not support PSN, even though for the single player side of that game, you don't need a PSN account, but because it's not supported and you need a PSN account for the multiplayer side, Steam is just refunding people in those countries. So they need to get their stuff together when it comes to PC releases, because in my opinion, put it out there on PC, get as many people playing it as possible, make all the money off of the game from a games as a service game. Overall, right now, more important than collecting all the data on their customers, and they're probably doing it because they want to create a PC launcher. They want to do something similar to what Xbox has on the PC with your Xbox Game Pass, everything in one place, everything linked, keeping you within their ecosystem. Because one of the things about these corporations, about Microsoft and Sony, is all they really want to do with the gamers is have all the data and make sure that you are staying within their ecosystem at all times, and never distracted by the competition, never looking away and saying, hey, what's over here and what's over there. So that's what I'm guessing they're doing, and that's why they want you to link your PSN account. And then finally, We do have this. Nintendo Switch 2 is around the corner. We're probably getting it in early 2025. And I'm really excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, as I do love my Nintendo Switch. And it looks like we may be getting a Zelda Breath of the Wild game, a complete edition for it for the Switch 2. Obviously will be upgraded and running and looking better. But this comes via the leaker Midori, who gets a lot of stuff correct. And they say there's a project at Nintendo with codename Yu-King-Oh. It might be related to the rumors of the next Nintendo console codename. And you have this on Twitter. According to leaker Midori, Breath of the Wild could be getting a new edition on Switch 2. Yu-King was Breath of the Wild's codename, so that's where that connection comes in. And a deluxe edition of Breath of the Wild with all the DLC on the cart with enhanced visuals and performance would be tempting. So we don't know exactly what this is, but Yu-King, if that was the codename of Breath of the Wild, you would think Yu-King-Oh is kind of what they did here with Mario Kart Deluxe when it released on the Nintendo Switch. They gave you the Wii U version, but with just a bunch more content. They're probably going to do something similar here with Breath of the Wild. That would be a big launch game for a lot of people. Even though this game came out in 2017, people have played hours and hours and hours in it already. Adding all the DLC, there's probably still a large amount of people who played Breath of the Wild but didn't experience DLC. I know I would pick this up as a launch game for the Switch 2, and that will just add to their overall repertoire when they do release the game, the console itself. And one of the reasons we've been hearing why the Nintendo wants to wait a little bit longer before releasing the Switch 2 is because they want a better launch lineup. So if that's one of their games, there's going to be a bunch of other great things to come with it as well. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.